not recording. Now I am. Okay, so we can save this for posterity. So please sit up comfortably on whatever piece of furniture you're on and just notice what it's like, the way your body settles on that piece of furniture. Make friends with the furniture. Make friends between the piece of furniture and your body. See if you can, maybe there's some big adjustment or small adjustment, micro adjustment you can make to be in the just most comfortable way you can be sitting up a little bit attentively, but at ease. You know, there's a beautiful retreat center in Garrison, New York. This is actually where Yafa and I first met. It's in the Catskills, and it's right across the Hudson River from West Point. So you're sitting there in meditation, and every once in a while you hear these big guns going off. One day I was sitting in meditation, and I realized, you know, the military guys across the river there, they've got two main instructions: attention and at ease. Attention, at ease. And I realized if you could just put those two together, that's what we're doing over here on this side of the river. Paying attention, but at ease. So we embody that in the way we sit, which is, there's nothing fancy about it, but we're sitting up, that's attention, comfortably, that's at ease. Okay? And at any point during the session, if your position becomes uncomfortable, then just adjust it again. Get comfortable. Change if necessary. If your nose itches, scratch it. If you have to recross your legs or something, then do that. That's fine. And let's start with a little exercise that will make a nice on-ramp into our meditation this evening. And there's also something you can do during the day if you're feeling anxiety, feeling agitation, anything like that. This is a traditional yogic technique called the bee's breath, the bee's breath. And first I'll show you the simple bare bones method and then a slightly more fancy version. So the simple, don't do it yet. Let me demonstrate it once, because once you're doing it, you won't be able to see me or hear me. So the way we do it is we're going to be taking our thumbs and closing our ears, closing the flaps. Don't stick your thumbs in your ears like that, but use them to close the flaps of the ears. So you'll be closing the flaps of the ears, not yet, in a moment, and you'll be closing the eyes. Take a deep breath, drop your chin a little bit, and then just like a bee, go, Okay, so here we go. Nice deep breath. Tuck your chin, close your eyes, close your ears. Okay, good. Now you may notice you feel a little more settled, a little bit there's something very soothing about that hum. It's especially when a lot of craziness is going on in your world, in our world. It's we think, oh, it would be nice to retreat into a cave somewhere. This is kind of instant cave. So the fancier, and that's fine, that's all you need. But the fancier method, the traditional method, if you're interested, what you do is you add these three fingers gently covering the eyelids, just gently resting on them, the index finger resting above the eyebrow. And also, actually, should be in the basic method as well. Don't close your teeth. Keep your teeth a little bit open. Let your lips rest gently together. And if you're going very fancy, the tip of the tongue should be resting in the space just behind the roots of the upper teeth. Okay, that may be more details, but you can go over this on YouTube when I post it there. So we'll be closing the flaps of the ears, we'll be closing the eyes. You can put the 3 fingers there over the eyelids gently. Don't close the teeth, keep them slightly open, the tongue resting, the tip of the tongue resting behind the roots of the upper front teeth. You take a deep breath, drop the chin, and here we go. And let's do 2 more of those on your own time. Okay. So that was as active as we're going to be. Now we just continue to sit up comfortably and keep the eyes closed. Let the breath be however it is. The breath very beautifully takes care of itself. So we're completely on vacation, completely nothing to do with regard to our breath. As we've already seen, the body is already at rest on the seat. So there's nothing for us to do with regard to the body. In fact, we can notice how the seat holds all of your weight. Maybe just notice, it's a subtle thing, but are there places where you're still trying to hold your weight? And you can just give your weight to the seat. So breathing happens on its own with no work from us. Sitting, the physical act of sitting, happens on its own with no work from us. And in exactly the same way, the senses function all by themselves with no work from us, nothing that we have to do, and really nothing that we can do. Sounds appear within our awareness, and they go away. Even with the eyes closed, some sense of color and light behind the eyelids may appear within our awareness, change, mutate, go away. Physical sensations, the temperature of the air, the body having areas of tension or relaxation, whatever. We're not looking for any of these things. We just may happen to notice them, we may not. It's just stuff coming and going within our awareness. Doesn't matter what the stuff is, we're not keeping tally. We're just noticing the delicious passivity of resting in natural, everyday awareness, the delicious effortlessness of it. Letting whatever comes come, letting whatever goes go. No decisions for us to make. No favorites to include in our awareness or unfavorites to exclude. Just remaining naturally wide open like the sky. Because that is the essential nature of our awareness. Just wide open space like the sky, like open space. Things appear within it, move, change, move on. And the sky has room for all of it. And the sky is not affected by any of it. Even the fiercest tornado doesn't dent the sky. Even the most brilliant rainbow doesn't improve the sky. Sky is just space. So we're not doing anything. We're just noticing how awareness has always been. Only for once we're noticing it clearly, that the nature of our awareness is like open space, and that everything else comes and goes within it effortlessly and frictionlessly. And it doesn't much matter what the stuff is. So for once we're noticing that, and for once we're giving up to that. For once we're not trying to do anything about anything. Just resting in this natural space-like awareness. That's all. That's simple. Just rest in awareness. Rest as awareness. Rest as that open, perfectly empty space, which remains perfectly empty even when it's full of stuff. So we don't have to push anything away or try to pull anything in. Of course, part of the stuff that comes and goes is thoughts. Great, no problem. Thoughts are just like anything else. Thoughts, sounds, colors. and emotions, feelings of tension, relaxation, happiness, sadness, doesn't matter. Just different kinds of weather. Whether it's a tornado of anxiety passing through this space of awareness, whether it's thoughts about that, saying, oh, I'm feeling anxiety, so now I'm a bad meditator. Great. That's all perfect. None of it is a problem. As long as we don't buy into it, as long as we don't try to stop anything or change anything, just remain as the open space of awareness within which everything else comes and goes all by itself. Not trying to concentrate, not trying to relax, not trying to feel anything special. Just resting in ordinary, everyday awareness, the only kind of awareness there is. Naturally open and free and empty like space. Naturally frictionless as all the sense perceptions and thoughts and emotions pass through it. As all those things take care of themselves. And we don't much pay attention to them. We're just letting go into our own space like awareness, resting as our own space like awareness. That's simple. If you find yourself grappling with something, with some effort or resistance, just relax your grip on it. Don't try to stop anything. Don't try to counteract anything. Whatever's going on, just relax your grip on it. Doesn't matter whether it sticks around or not. Just relax your grip and relax back into yourself. Relax back into this free, empty, space like awareness, which is always right here. You never have to look around for it. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Right here, where you're the one that's looking. Like looking for space. We're always in space, right here. Just relax your grip, relax into it. That's simple. Now keep the eyes closed and take a few minutes to start gently bringing the body back to a more active state. You just gently start stirring in your seat, maybe wiggling your digits. Moving your joints around. Just take about 2 or 3 minutes like this to kind of like coming out of a nap. You might feel like squeezing your hands together or squeezing your face, get the circulation going again, stretching your limbs. Just easing out of meditation in a very royal kind of way. And after a couple of minutes like that, when the nervous system feels ready, you can just gently start to crack the eyelids open. Take your time. Okay, how are people doing? Everyone good? Good. See some thumbs up. Okay, so before we go on to more general questions, anyone have any questions or comments about the experience or the process of meditation itself? I want to, in particular, invite people who are doing this with us for the first time. Just anything, any question, or yeah, but what about this? When we hang up here in a while, what's the thing where you're going to say, oh yeah, but what about XYZ? Any of those what abouts? If so, please click on the little hand, the raise your hand icon, and okay. Yeah, it's simple. Simple beyond simple. It's really not doing, it's being. It's being. It's noticing that we're aware, noticing stuff coming and going in the awareness, noticing awareness is like space and resting in that space. Okay, I'm going to unmute Diane. She has a question. Yes, Diane.
So the question is not in the process of meditating itself, but the process of coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I find makes this a much easier process, as I mentioned to you once before, is like, I know you're in the driver's seat, so I can just let go and be and not think about it.
Right.
And part of that is knowing that you will gently bring us out of it at some point, that, the gong, you'll make us stop. So
Mm-hmm.
I've tried on my own setting a timer
Mm-hmm.
or just letting it have naturally. The timer like jolts you out of it like a heart attack. So
Mm-hmm.
that's not a good approach.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
You just let it be and you just meditate as long as it you just do?
The short version is, yeah, just, you know, people ask me, well, should I meditate for 17? And I know you used to do TM.
Yeah.
And as a former TM teacher, I know that our teacher, Maharishi, was very specific. Okay, this person should meditate for 17 minutes, and this person should meditate for 22 minutes. And people, and and often people wound up just like, oh, I went over half a minute, you know, is my nose going to fall off now, or something. um, and Maharishi would say, don't set any alarms because they can jolt you, as
Yeah.
you've discovered. So
Oh, yeah.
now what's interesting is that normally, if you set that same alarm as on your iPhone or something,
Right.
if you set that same alarm, you know, to let you know when it's time to, you know, take the chicken out of the oven or something, does that alarm make you jump?
No.
No, no. So this, it's the same sound, right? Physically, acoustically, what's moving through the airwaves is the same. So what's different? What's different is that we're more settled.
Mhm.
We're more settled. So I would say, if you need to get somewhere, if you've got an appointment coming up, I'd say find a set an alarm, but make it really quiet, right? But the, you know, the really important point here is what a lovely testimony it is to the, we could say, success of meditation. I'm not crazy about that word success here. The effectiveness of meditation, the fact that you're meditating, quote unquote, correctly, because you're essentially just being, not doing, not trying to concentrate, not trying to clear the mind, not trying to bang away on a mantra or anything, just resting as awareness. And that the settling takes place on its own
Hmm.
because of, and we've discussed this before, that the nature of the mind is always to go toward enjoyment, always to go toward peace, always to go toward bliss, contentment, ananda in the Hindu philosophical language. And that's the nature, fortunately, that's the nature of awareness itself, free from the, you know, when it's, we free from the constrictions and the specificity of the stuff that we're aware of. You know, that all has boundaries. Anything we're aware of by nature has boundaries. Awareness itself by nature is boundless. It has no boundaries because it has no qualities. And so we're drawn there. The attention is drawn there automatically if we just allow it to happen. That's what we're doing, instead of trying to concentrate, trying to control the mind. You know, it's like in the old westerns where the sheriff would go into the saloon and confront the bad guy and say, okay, you can come the hard way or the easy way, right? So we go the easy way. So as far as coming out, yeah, set a gentle alarm. Or these days, you know, pretty much we don't have anywhere we need to go. Just, hey, go for it. Meditation retreat. You know, just, you know, some of you have heard me say this before. How long should I meditate? How long do you walk on the beach hand in hand with the one you love? How much time do you spend writing your poetry? Or, you know, putting the headphones on in the dark living room and dancing? Right? Those are all things where we forget about the time because we're dropping into joy. And the more you drop into joy, the more time goes away. So the ideal is forget about the time. And then as necessary, we, you know, compromise with that. Good. Okay. I'm gonna mute you again. Oh, you're mute. Okay, good. And Richard has a hand up. I'm gonna unmute you, Richard. Oh, let me try again.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Richard.
He asked me to unmute myself as well, and then I think we canceled each other out. Um, as you know, I'm from a TM background,
Yes.
and I tend to be pretty 20-minute centric myself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I've set an alarm for myself, and I've been jolted by the alarm, and it's unpleasant. But there is an app that is called the Insight Timer,
Mm-hmm.
and it has all kinds of stuff on it. But one
Mm-hmm.
thing it does good is it has like you can set like any sound gong that you want, and some of them are less obtrusive than others.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Great.
anybody needs, or wants a timer, the Insight Timer app, which I know is on the Mac, Apple app stores, it's a
Mm-hmm.
good one.
Cool. Thank you,
So
Richard. Thank you. And again, as an old TMer, if 20 minutes is comfy and familiar for you, God bless. That's great. By the way, for those of you who've been to my website and enjoyed how attractive it is, you have Richard to thank for. Richard is my webmeister, and has been since 1998. And he's a former student of mine from when I used to teach in New Jersey. That's how we got started together. So, Richard, thank you. Keep up the good work. Okay, other questions. Uh, okay, yes. Um, Eileen.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a general question.
Good.
Are you good for that? Okay.
I'm great for that.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day about everything that's going on now
Mm-hmm.
and the anxiety that I was having, or I am having, and I think probably most of the world is having now about what's going on. And I think probably what's causing a lot of that is not knowing what's happening. There's no view in sight. We're sailing in fog.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something that was disturbing to me. He said, "Well, everything happens for a reason."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I was hoping that you can talk about that somehow.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Eileen. Um, I love this topic. I love this question. Actually, a dear friend of mine, Jamie Rye, who she used to she used to own a couple of yoga studios in Omaha, and she used to bring me out almost every year to do meditation workshops for her yogis in Omaha, or as I like to call it, Om Aha. Um, and people would say that to her, and she just hated it. She just found it so annoying and kind of spiritually smug. And actually, one time when I was out there at the end of of my last evening there, she took me out to dinner, and we had a long talk about that. And then afterward, she sent me this card that she found that said, "Everything happens for a reason." And then you opened it up and it says, "And sometimes the reason is you're stupid and you make stupid choices." I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Um, on the one hand, on the one hand, there's this uh, there's this one sort of picture that presents itself, that life is just arbitrary. It's just chaos. Nothing happens for a reason. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So that's an interesting expression. I never thought about that. Rhyme or reason, right? No rhymes, no echoing, no pattern. There's no pattern to it. There's no, right? It's just chaos. And if we can manage to stay above the chaos, hang on to some little life preserver for a little while before we go under, we're lucky. Okay. On the other kind of extreme, the picture is everything happens for a reason. And usually when people say that, the implication is, and I know what the reason is, right? Or we can tell, we can pin it down. And everything that seems bad is really good, and we're just being kind of lame and missing the point of everything if we don't get that, if we think that things that seem horrific are if we think that they're horrific, something like that. As far as I can see, as far as my understanding of this goes, it's not either of those extreme pictures. It's something much more interesting. And there's nothing mysterious. We just look at, if we just think reasonably about what we actually know, rather than something that sounds like a nice slogan to put on Facebook or a magnet on your fridge or something. We know that things go according to cause and effect, right? If I hit my little bell here, right? Okay, here's an action of me moving the stick in this direction, and that's a cause, and then it has the effect of the bell ringing. The sound of the bell goes through the microphone, goes out on magic cyber networks into your ears and in your brain. So that's having effect, and those effects in turn become causes. The fact that you just heard that bell a few times has affected your nervous system, has affected, maybe in very subtle ways, but it's influenced, what you're going to choose for a midnight snack later tonight, or whatever, in subtle ways. Everything's affecting everything else. It's all chains of cause and effect. Now, in Hindu philosophy, the technical term for these chains of cause and effect is karma. The word karma comes from the verb kri, K-R-I, kri, which means to do. So karma, kri, to do, and karma, doing. It's all doing. Everything is this vast, incredibly complex network of doing. It's not some mysterious thing, but everything affects everything else. It's just an almost, not quite infinite, but almost infinitely complex billiard table, and you hit this one billiard here, and everything moves around, and it affects all the other balls, so to speak. The sort of definitive statement about this, which is in the Bhagavad Gita. There's a lot of definitive statements in the Bhagavad Gita, the great wisdom book of Hindu philosophy. And the statement there is, unfathomable are the ways of karma. Right? It's all ways of karma. It's all cause and effect. This cause becomes an effect. This becomes an effect, becomes a cause. Everything, all the billiard balls bouncing off of each other. But it's so complex that no one can calculate it. Unfathomable are the ways of karma. That doesn't mean that's not happening that way. It is. It's not chaos. It's lawful. But the lawful interactions of things are so complicated that we can't calculate them. There's this other statement that's related that most of you have probably heard, where Einstein famously said that, I can't believe that God plays dice with the universe. Right? I can't believe that God plays dice with the universe, meaning things are not chaotic. And of course, that's Einstein. Who am I to argue with Einstein? But even in the way that that's phrased, I would slightly take issue with that, because sort of the assumption, and he was making a point, for the sake of making this point, the assumption is that when you throw dice, it's chaotic. And it's not chaotic. It's completely lawful, but it's too subtle, it's too complex for us to know all the lawful factors, right? If we could know exactly the position of the dice, that when they start off in the palm of your hand, the exact amount of perspiration on the palm of your hand, the exact, the trajectory, the velocity with which you throw them, the barometric pressure in the room, all of that, the coefficient of drag, as I don't even know if that makes sense. I'm making words up here. I think that's a real phrase. The coefficient of drag as the dice go across the felt on the table. if we could know all of those factors completely, we could predict exactly, we could know exactly how the dice are going to wind up. So it's not chaotic, it's just too much of it to know. So it's unfathomable. Now, having said that, this is a big topic. Having said that, we can become, I think, more in tune with the overall workings of the ways of karma. Even if we can't calculate it all with our minds, but we can in an intuitive way. It's like a surfer, right? John Baum's not with us tonight, is he? He's our surfer dude friend. Actually, Yafa, help me remember. We have to tell John to watch this one on YouTube. So, it's like the waves on the surface of the ocean. To a certain degree, a surfer is going to, look over and see, okay, this one's coming. This is what the pattern has been today. You get some overall sense of it with the mind, but ultimately, the great surfers, like the great basketball players, the great physicists like Einstein, it becomes intuitive. It's like dancing. You tune in to your partner, and you can't do it with your mind. Like, oh, now she's putting her left foot that way, and oh yeah, she has a tendency to do more of this elbow stuff or what. You're not thinking about that. You get more and more attuned to the whole flow of it. And there are famous stories about Einstein just knowing intuitively, oh, this is the way the thing's got to be, and then later filling in the math. Okay. Now, the last paragraph of this, what's become a bit of a long rant. How does this apply to our situation now? How does this apply to our situation now? Which maybe was, really kind of what was the drift of, Eileen, of your original conversation with your friend, which is, okay, is all this, what seems so, this just disruption of our lives in this quarantine situation, and some, very real suffering. I mean, people, dying of this terrible disease, and people just facing just intense economic, possibly ruin in some cases. Is it for some bigger reason, or does it just suck, and it sucks, and that's all she wrote? My sense of it, and I think a lot of people have a sense of it, somewhat along these lines, is that the presence of our species on this planet has been, on the one hand, achieving some incredible things, on the other hand, wreaking incredible destruction, getting very close to making the climate, uninhabitable for us and other species. The air's gotten a lot cleaner since we've stopped doing all that driving. I think a lot of people who were, it's a very easy thing for human beings to do. Kind of our characteristic as animals is to be caught up in busyness. We have these brains that are capable of thinking all these thoughts that other animals can't do, and to be just really caught up in it and just addicted to doing more and more stimulus all the time. And I think that addiction to that constant doing, constant stimulus, and we need new toys to facilitate all our doing and all our stimulation, has caused this sort of overheating of our own minds of our own sensibility and a corresponding overheating of the planet. And that maybe this is an opportunity for us to rediscover the deep okayness of just being and not having to be caught up in doing all the time. You know, I mentioned earlier that Yafa and I first met at the Garrison Institute on a meditation retreat. That was a silent meditation retreat that we met on, where the rule was no talking allowed, no eye contact allowed. And we completely followed the rules. We completely followed the rules, but somehow love found a way. And at the end, when you come out of silence, we wound up talking all night the last night. So, you know, we're kind of professional meditators for many years. We're used to, oh, the deliciousness of silence. A lot of people, when they hear, oh, you were on a silent retreat, I've had so many people say to me, oh, I could never do that. Why? What will happen to you if you don't talk, don't read a book, don't watch television, don't check your cell phone for an hour, a day, a week? Will your head explode? You'll very likely feel, for a lot of people, they'll very likely feel as if their head is going to explode. And that's good. That's part of what you have to go through in the silent retreat, to confront that place where you think your head's going to explode, and then you find out you don't. Then you find out what's on the other side of that feeling, that anxiety. And on the other side is, peace. I'm fine. Here's that that sense of okayness that I was looking for in the next tweet, the next toy, the next ice cream cone, the next accomplishment. Not that there's anything wrong with accomplishments and ice cream cones and tweets and all that, except that we keep looking for lasting satisfaction there, for peace there, and we're never going to find it. We're looking in the wrong place. We're looking for it in the world of doing, and it turns out it was here all along in being. As if we start off, we're on the throne of just beingness, and in searching for happiness and fulfillment and security, we fall off the throne. It's like the Aesop's fable about the little dog who's trotting along with a big juicy bone in his mouth, and he goes across a little bridge over a pond, and he sees his reflection. He doesn't understand what a reflection is. He says, oh, there's another dog with a juicier bone in his mouth. I'm going to go for that one. And in that very act, he loses the real bone. So it's like we're chasing that reflection, that mirage of something out there, outside of us, that's going to be the really juicy thing, and we lose the real thing. Now, the actual fact is we can never really lose the real thing. We can never stop being. All this time that we're caught up in doing, we are being all along. The being is the prerequisite for doing. But what we lose is the awareness of the simple, pure being. We lose the awareness of pure space-like awareness and get caught up in all this stuff. So this is an opportunity, perhaps. You know, does everything happen for a reason? I don't know. I don't know, but you know, and maybe I'm kidding myself because this is my orientation, but it just seems to me that if there is a purpose in this, I mean, we see a lot of good things happening, right? How many there's, horrible things happening, which are obvious, but how many, I know probably every one of you can tell stories about the way friends have reached out, and you've reached out to friends, and you see these wonderful acts of people. I was just reading today that in England they've got this just huge army of volunteers who've turned out to help others, and it's just bringing out a lot of good. I think that if there is a purpose for it, it's for us to discover the overlooked. And everything that happens that you would not choose is a chance to discover the overlooked in life, discover the overlooked in yourself. You know, as a meditation teacher, my bias is for, let's discover the ultimate overlooked thing, that with the nature of being itself, the nature of awareness itself, the nature of our self itself. Okay, Eileen, that was long-winded. But does that help at all?
Yeah, it helps. I think I feel like I need to think about it some more. And
Uh-huh.
I might have a follow-up question in
Great.
email for you.
Great, good. Okay.
Thank you.
And everyone, always feel free, send me emails, follow up. Good. So I'm going to mute Eileen. Anyone else have a question? Any more hands up? I wanted to ask you all, how did you like that bee's breath that we did at the beginning of the meditation? Yeah, I'm seeing thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Good. Any questions about it? Good. Lots of thumbs up. Beth. Beth's got her hand up. I'm looking for you. Where are you, Beth? Hang on. There you are. Beth, do you have, let me unmute you. Beth, hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. Just one question from a meditative standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
My husband loves to stream 24/7 news.
Right.
And he actually is reading your books now, which is really great. And he said, this guy's pretty smart.
Right.
But he just, it's just been a challenge sometimes, other than keeping headsets on all the time, to have
Mm-hmm.
him understand that that balance is so important.
Right. Right. Right.
Any
Uh,
suggestions?
yeah. Well, again, this time is the golden opportunity. It's the golden opportunity. In a way, actually, this touches back to two of the things that I touched on a few minutes ago. There's an opportunity here. There's a really special opportunity to open ourselves to connection, to solidarity with others, and finding these new creative ways to do it. And also, it's a golden opportunity to open ourselves to solitude, right? And to silence. But the opportunity only works if we take advantage of it. So yeah, now I can't tell your husband. Clearly, even you can't tell your husband.
He's just,
Yeah. I mean, God, we've all heard this saying, trying to change others, how easy is it just to change yourself? Right? It's not. Through some kind of incredible grace, we have wound up here. Right? We've wound up. There's this wonderful, wonderful story some of you have heard, that supposedly the Buddha told this story. He said this example. He said, imagine that the entire surface of the globe is covered by an ocean, and floating somewhere on the surface of that ocean is a single piece of driftwood with a single hole, a knot hole in the middle of it. And also somewhere underneath that ocean is a blind sea turtle. And once every 100 years, the blind sea turtle comes up. His head breaks the surface of the ocean. He comes up for air. And then he goes back down again. What are the odds when he comes up for air once every 100 years that when his head comes up, he's going to wind up under that piece of driftwood and his head's going to come up through that hole? Okay. Those are the odds, said the Buddha, against our being born, first of all, into a human nervous system. Out of all the millions, billions of kinds of nervous systems we can have, a precious human nervous system that's capable of, so sophisticated that it's capable of reflecting not just objects of awareness, but the silence of awareness itself. So what are the odds of being born not as a gnat or a mosquito or an armadillo or a head of cabbage or something, but being born as a human being? And then two, being exposed to the Dharma, being exposed to these teachings of awakening and actual methods for practicing awakening. And three, having the incredible luxury, the incredible opportunity to practice, because we're not just dealing day and night with scraping, trying to feed our family, or being Syrian refugees just struggling to stay alive. So we have this incredible blessing. And now, in addition, we've all been put on meditation retreat here. So yeah, it behooves us to take advantage of it. But no one can tell someone else to do it. I don't know how you can tell your husband to do that. You can, I think usually this stuff, the best way is to be a shining example. Sooner or later, he's going to look up from some screen and notice that you're looking even more radiant than you were a week ago, Beth.
Actually, this time has brought our relationship so much closer together.
Yeah.
Because we are spending a lot of time together.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing 4 volunteer projects that I'm always doing.
Right.
So
Right.
loving this.
So just by
Yeah,
the way, Beth, there's your busyness.
I know. I went, oh my gosh, it actually, other than the silent retreat I did for 7 days, which changed my life, and everyone said you can't do it, and it was the most wonderful thing.
Right.
This is a wonderful time for me. I'm just rethinking the next 40 years. What am I going to do for the next, and where do I really want my priorities? And being an environmentalist, I love what's happening with the planet right now. So
Right.
I just felt like Mother
Yep.
Earth saying,
Yep.
whoa, hold on, you guys have gone way over the top.
Right.
Yeah.
There's an old George Carlin routine that some of you may remember. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, where Carlin says, everyone says save the earth, save the earth. The earth is going to be fine, but the way we're going, the earth is going to just shake us off like a bad fever. So I'd rather that not happen anytime soon. I've got kids and grandkids.
Yeah.
I want this beautiful planet to continue to work for our species, at least for a while. So nothing's forever. Nothing's forever.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, but as we're doing, as we're taking advantage of this incredible luxury that we have of being on this extended enforced retreat, I think it also behooves us to, and I know that you're all doing this too, without obsessing, finding that the middle way, the sweet spot, not obsessing, but having some space of compassion for people who are, I can't even think of what's happening in refugee camps. And 3 blocks from here in the homeless encampments, 3-4 blocks from my house, if and when, and maybe it's happening now, the virus starts sweeping through there. So compassion for that. And also for, I know I'm so incredibly lucky to be, stuck in this our little beach cottage here with my favorite person. And we're having Yafa and I are having just the loveliest time together. And some people, I know some of you right on this call are by yourselves. And you know what? Here's a little exercise. I just thought of this, I don't know, yesterday or something. Let's do a little special meditation. I just made this up. Just close your eyes and give yourself a hug. And now physically, as you continue the hug, stay in the hug. Can you extend this hug to everyone else who's on this call? So you're hugging them and you're receiving, feeling yourself receiving the hug from everyone on the call. And then as you continue to stay physically in the hug, can you extend it to everyone that you're connected with? All your family, all your friends, your parents, your children, whether they're still physically in the body or not doesn't matter. And some of the specific ones may pop up in your mind, but that or may not, doesn't matter. Just the general sense of hugging everyone you're connected with. Just settling in that hug. And can we extend it further to all the human beings on the planet? Giving that hug to them and receiving that hug from them. And can we extend it to all the non-human beings as well, all the animals, the fish, the birds, the insects, the plants, the trees, the rocks. Giving and receiving, melting together, melting into that embrace. Okay. I don't know about you. I like that.
That was great.
Yeah. Good. Good. Good.
Thank
What
you.
else? But so let me just finish that up, just so finding how to really take full advantage of the connectedness and take full advantage of the solitude, the silence, and kind of what part of what we're getting there, I think, is there's a place where even the two of those melt together. You can be sitting there all physically all alone in a room in a house somewhere, and in that solitude, in that silence, more clearly than ever, experiencing your connection, not just to your friends, but to all beings everywhere. And as Bill Murray would say, so I got that going, which is nice. What else?
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Anyone else with a question or comment? It's my favorite person. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi. I was just thinking about
She's one room away, by the way.
what Beth just said about, thinking about the next 40 years and that opportunity to do that kind of reflection. And I was just thinking that, in this idea of taking this time as a bit of a retreat time, just kind of re-examining the, the stories we tell ourselves about whatever happened in our past, the stories we might be making up about what might happen in the future, and how all of those are just thoughts, just ideas.
Yep.
And how interesting it is right now that the whole planet is in this place of really not being able to have any way to predict what's going to happen. Even
Right.
if we thought we could predict before, and to a
Right.
certain degree we could, to a certain degree, that generally things were sort of, you'd have work, you'd have this, you'd have that. And now whatever we come up with is just
Yeah.
ideas,
Yeah.
which is something to, again, in this window of being on retreat, we can kind of look at those conjured stories in either direction.
Yep. Yeah. No. Right. You're right. As usual. No, we never know. We can think we know. It's often easier, in our more usual situation before we all went into quarantine. It was easier to think that we knew what was going to happen. And it's, on the one hand, it's, I think, like, as Beth said, yeah, okay, I'm making, I'm rethinking the next 4 years. And that's great. I hear in the way you say that you're rethinking them in the light of getting greater clarity on who you are on the inside and what life is on the outside and what the connections are and so forth. That's great on the one hand. On the other hand, who the hell knows what's going to happen in the next 4 years? Who knows what's going to happen in the next heartbeat? But, we live life somewhere in the interplay between those two, this kind of planning, this kind of, yeah, I kind of know, and yeah, we kind of don't. We kind of don't. There's always some room for surprises. While I'm thinking of it, and Beth, this might be helpful for your husband, and actually for all of you who you've got friends who could benefit from meditation, but the word meditation may not be a positive buzzword for them. A lot of people are scared away by that word. They think it's something difficult or something exotic or something Eastern or something that they can't do because it requires concentration and, yada, yada, yada. I actually just today, just a couple of hours ago, made a new videotape, which I just posted on my YouTube channel. And it's called something like Cutting Through Anxiety, 5 Simple Methods. Cutting Through Anxiety, 5 Simple Methods. And actually, if you go to my website, I'm going to share the screen. Hang on here. I'm going to do screen sharing. Hang on. See if I can remember how to type. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Yay, there it is. So here's my website. Some of you seen this beautiful website designed by my dear friend Richard Gilbert. Award-winning author. God, I love that. I'm that for the rest of my life. No one can take that away from me. Okay. So here is, I'll probably change this photo. This is an old photo, but I didn't have time. So here's this new thing, Cutting Through Anxiety, new video, 5 simple methods for quick relief of anxiety, depression, etc. So you click on that and it takes you to this video. Okay. So, so it's a short 15-minute video. Stop share. There we go. Okay. So that's a good place to send people. Okay. It's a good, just sticking a little toe into the water, and it's all stuff that most of you have done here. It's the wee and ah, and actually the bee's breath that we did tonight, a couple of other things. So it's just a nice, real kind of entry level venture that's excellent for newbies. Okay, so feel encouraged, please, to share that. Oh, and also, if you maybe you saw this on the newsletter I sent out this morning, me on the Adam Ferrara podcast. Did any of you get a chance to listen to that? Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? Yeah, Adam's can be a tad raunchy, but okay. And by the way, if you really, here's some recommended viewing. If you really want to laugh while you're in quarantine, in between your deep meditations, look up Adam Ferrara, Funny as Hell. It's on Vimeo, actually. Adam Ferrara, Funny as Hell. It's a stand-up special he did on TV about 10 years ago. And you can date it because he's got some jokes about the German Pope, about Pope Benedict. So maybe it's the 10, 15 years, something like that. So have fun with that. Make sure you get the full 1 hour version, which is on Vimeo. Okay. So yeah, and Adam's going to have me back. We actually already pre-taped these. We've got 2 more little podcast episodes where I'm leading the listeners in some more of these practices. So hopefully that help reach some more people that might not be reached otherwise. Good. Anything else? It's time to adjourn. It's time for dessert. So actually a friend sent us a little thing that you put in your fridge, and then you take it out and you whip it, and it's whipping cream. It's shelf-stable whipping cream. This is the essential staple equipment for the apocalypse. Remember these words, it's from Trader Joe. It's like a tongue twister. Shelf-stable whipping cream. Okay? So, oh, and by the way, a number of people have asked about this prayer that I love to say at the end. So it's now on, if you go to my website, there's the page about the Zoom sessions, and it's there on the bottom of the page, so you can learn the Sanskrit if you like. Okay? So may all beings everywhere, all those beings that we were hugging, may all beings notice as soon as possible, right now, preferably, their own true nature. Open, empty, perfect blissful awareness, the true happiness. And thus may peace prevail spontaneously throughout this world and every world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Betty.
See you again.
Thank you.
See you again. Next
Good night.
session is Thursday, 4:30
Thank you.
Pacific.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Bye.
being.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Dean, thank
Thank you.
Bye.
you.